Pacific Association General Membership Meeting, July 27th, 2023. It is 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll call the meeting to order. Melissa will take the roll call off of the Zoom recording. Melissa, do you need the two iPhones to identify? I think one of them's Kevin. Just ping me that he's on his iPhone.
Yeah, if you're an iPhone, if you could just chat your identification, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, so first thing up, any additions, changes, or deletions to tonight's agenda? Anyone want to add anything, take anything away, change it? Go once, going twice. All right. First up is approve the general membership meeting minutes from April. It's actually 27th. It's a typo I have on the agenda from the April 27th, 2023 general membership meeting. Hopefully everyone was able to review those minutes in this meeting's documents. Any questions or issues with that set of minutes? All right, do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Move we approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All right, did I hear someone? Nope. All in favor of approving the general membership meeting minutes from April 27th? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? All right, so moved. On to Mr. Fry and the treasurer's report.
The bank account totals at the end of April were just under $102,000. At the end of May, just under $95,000. And at the end of June, the latest month end, just under $95,000. So not a significant amount of spending this quarter. It seems we spend most of our money typically in the September to December timeframe. There's nothing I really want to highlight unless there's any questions from the membership. So subject to questions, that's all I've got.
Cool. Any other questions for Mr. Fry? I did want to throw out that we did approve, Bill, I'm not sure which meeting, we did approve the expenditure for the road signs project.
I believe that was the April or May meeting. In the May treasurer's report, at the bottom, it says add proposed fundraising income for signs of $12,000 that we approved. That's road signs. And we eliminated phone book expense of $3,000. And so we had $500 listed as the road sign budget in the approved budget from January. And we just increased that by $11,500. So that was in the May treasurer's report, which also would mean it was in the May board minutes. Yeah,
cool. Just making sure the general membership knows that that project is funded and coming up. All right, if nothing else from Mr. Fry, we'll move on.
Hey, Swin, just a clarification. I don't remember, we brought this up at a board meeting before, maybe in not the last general membership meeting. So I was going to get clarity. I know over time we have I don't know the right word, extended or paid for certain invoices that were approved by the group that on hurricane recovery, and at some point it's expected that FEMA would pay those back. So all that, or some of that at least, would end up coming back to us, and that's not occurred yet. Is that correct, Bill? I assume that's not.
Yeah, that's correct. It's because that miserable treasurer in the Upper Captiva Fire District has still not gotten final insurance settlement information. And so that's the major thing that we're waiting on before we can actually submit the fire district's claim to FEMA. They've extended the deadline a number of times. The latest extension runs through sometime towards the end of March 2024. I'm hopeful that, like everybody else still fighting the insurance company 10 months later, the district still is too. And there's been no, as far as I know, no real movement on either a better settlement or the next stage to arbitration. So that's really what's holding everything up, because FEMA won't accept a partial submission. Once we submit, it's done. And most of the money that is going to be in the submission is for labor and uninsured losses. So until we know what that uninsured loss is, can't submit. One of the questions that I'll ask at the next monthly update that I have with FEMA is whether we can submit the total amount in the insurance claim that Fuchs have put together, just so that we can submit and get started. But like I said, that treasure's just slow.
Yeah, I think it was just framing the idea that that's where that money went, and there's an expectation when that all comes to fruition that it will be coming back to UCCA for the most part, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Somewhere around $50,000 was donations, and of that, another. I think the total road clearing bills was something around 65,000. The bills to Duncan, paid by the UCCA through out of the Island Access Fund through the recovery approval process that was approved by the membership and established by the board and by the task force. Duncan's is the only one that is ineligible for fire department reimbursement because he's a commissioner. It's a violation of state law. I have asked the FEMA whether he's eligible to be paid as a volunteer by FEMA through the claim process. But if not, then I think that was $13,000 or $14,000 off the top of my head to Tortuga, and that can at this state is not expected to be reimbursed.
Cool. The answer, David.
Yeah, it was not anything for motion, just for the membership's clarification and understanding if that question was not asked, but was people wondering about that. Yeah.
I would say we've got until the December to March timeframe before we'll have an answer. I'm hopeful we can submit the claim by the end of December.
Cool. Sounds good. Any other questions for Mr. Fry? All right, we'll move on to current island concerns. First up is hurricane debris removal ending. The third and final pass started yesterday. And they're kind of starting on two sides of the island. They're working north of the airport. They started Kingfisher yesterday. I believe they did either oyster shell or conch shell yesterday, and then they moved back to Panama shell and butterfly shell today because LCEC was blocking their access yesterday. We did a pretty big blog post about that. So if anyone on the call has not read that blog post, you can get to it on the homepage of the website. It goes through what this final pass will look like. Pretty much they're going to take everything except for what they consider new construction material. So things that the hurricane damaged to your property, those things will be taken. If you're at the stage that you're putting in new siding, new drywall, stuff like that, any scraps left over from that, they will not take. They will not take new materials. So you have to keep those things separate. And then the other thing that's going to be a struggle is vegetative. They are deeming most of the vegetative as landscape material at this point. Melissa knows this well because she's fighting that battle. If anyone has vegetative that they truly know and can make the argument that it's hurricane debris, feel free to reach out to me. I think I'll be taking many of you up the chain. These guys on the ground, the monitors, have gotten really finicky towards the end of the second pass and now this third pass. So they're just not being as cooperative. DRC, the contractor, will take anything that they let them take, but they're blocking them on most of the veg. So we'll have that fight over the next couple of weeks. It's expected that they'll be here through the end of August and then they're gone. So if you have stuff, you need to get it out, keep it in the separate piles and everything. Any questions on the final pass of debris removal? All right, we'll move on to dumping. We had a pretty big discussion about dumping at our last board meeting. We're working on a program to put together a pretty extensive letter, flyers, and everything that we plan to mail out to every property owner's address that's on record with the county, as well as do some door-to-door handing flyers to either homeowners, contractors, and workers to get across that dumping is illegal, right? So this happened after Charlie, when they did finally get a little bit of debris stuff taken away. Everyone just started dumping on vacant lots, and it's going to become a problem, but we feel the more that we can educate the community and especially the contractors and workers, the better off we'll be. We'll probably also make a few no dumping signs in English and Spanish, calling out the law and that it's a felony, and put those in some strategic locations temporarily on the island, over the next 6 months or so, to really try to drive the point home. So no worker can kind of get to a job site without having passed a sign that calls out no dumping. We're also going to put in all the information on the path for your debris post the debris removal teams leaving, which will kind of go back to pre-hurricane normal. It's going to be Team Davenport. They are putting together a new sort of waste program, not the household trash, but for the construction trash and any debris. They'll have their own generic bull bags that they'll give us pricing. North Captiva Barge Company is putting together their program. They'll have a program using the all in the bags that JD Porter's made up, and they'll give us pricing. And I've heard rumors that there's someone else trying to come in who now has the bull bag contract, but I haven't got any more info on that. So anywhere we can, we'll publish to the community how to take care of waste post the hurricane debris teams leaving, to try to prevent the dumping. Any questions on that? Oh, no. All right, and then next is Community Island Cleanup Initiatives. I'm gonna hand that off to Melissa because she and Kevin have really been spearheading those. Do we have one yesterday, Melissa? I saw one
We did
post.
not have one yesterday, and we don't have many people on the island right now to help with that, and plus we had some other issues come up last minute, so we will be talking about whether or not we're going to have one in August or not. It's looking pretty clean. If you're on island, it's not that bad. We've got our debris piles, but a lot of the miscellaneous junk that's laying around that we can pick up is not that big of an issue. The airport, the Salty Approach, they always have some issues and they've got, you know, some big traffic. And so they did some cleanup themselves today, which was really nice. But anytime we can help them out with that as well would be nice. But otherwise, we didn't have anything today, and we will let you know about future ones.
Yeah, and we'll keep having those even after the debris team leaves, because we know it's gonna be a while until things are cleared up, right?
Our next challenge will be who's going to carry it off the island. Like, do we all carry a bag home to our house, or do we have one of these companies? We're talking to them to see if they can help us. You know, if we can bring them to their lot or bring them to the barge or whatever it is that we need to do. So that's what we're working on right now.
I would bet between Davenport and North Captiva Barge, one of them would probably take care of us. All right, cool. One thing I wanted to add to the sort of the dumping and community island cleanup. Is anyone concerned about the, because I got 2 calls yesterday about this, about the large household trash pile that is on the Island Club lot? Has anyone seen that, bothered by it? No? All right, we won't make a deal of it then. I've gotten a couple of calls about that, it's big, it's got rats and raccoons in it, all sorts of stuff, so.
It's Kevin Swin. I would say that pile is pretty big.
Yeah.
At their lot behind Mangoes.
Yeah, and it's just from what I understand, from what I heard yesterday, it's just a big pile. Nothing's dumpstered or anything, right?
Yeah, it's just a huge pile of garbage, and you'll see lots of rats and raccoons and crows on that pile. I mean, we need to find a way to get that off the island as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so we'll figure out some of us reaching out to Matt and seeing what's going on there, because it's apparently it's getting pretty bad.
I know they are working on it.
Okay, cool. All right, so if nothing else on those, then we'll move to committees and projects, starting with the community and membership committee. Melissa, you doing that one, or?
That's me again. Sorry. Let me pull up my notes. So as far as membership, we are working on having more of a membership drive to let people know why we're here, what we're doing, why your membership matters. And so we're with every event that we have, whether it's pulling off the garbage or if it's a social event, join us, see what it's like and see where your money goes. We are doing good things for the island and we want to share that. We're also planning on doing more activities such as during homeowners week. We're planning on doing, we'll have a board meeting, a happy hour where if you're on island, you can meet us and have a little happy hour with us. So that's October 18th, I believe. We're going to postpone our home and garden tour to 2024 just because, for obvious reasons, not everybody's home and garden are up to what they were before when we were planning on having it. We're going to have our chili cook-off on Thursday, October 19th at 5 p.m. You'll see more information about that in your email and on Facebook. If you are not on Facebook and you're feeling like you're not seeing what's going on, obviously visit our website. We're trying to keep that up. That's one thing that I'm working on. But also email us, say, I feel like I'm missing out on stuff. I'm hearing stuff. So let us know and so that we know how we're communicating best with you. And then we're gonna, we've still got a few more cookbooks left over from our Hurricane Ian sales. So we're gonna try and finish selling those off before we do a next one. And so that's all we have.
Awesome. Any questions for Melissa or that committee? I'll add to that, you know, one function of that committee is to increase membership, and I would ask any current member to please reach out to neighbors or anyone you know that are not UCC members and encourage them to join. The goal, you know, of the organization is, you know, education and, you know, protection of our community. And with more members, it's not about the money, right? At $50, like it's the organization's not getting wealthy off the membership. It's more about contributing everyone's voice to the conversation so that we know that we're working on things that our community wants us to work on and everything. Cool. All right, next is Government Affairs Committee. That is me. Really have been knee deep in the hurricane debris removal program. I won't bore everyone with those challenges, but there have been challenges and fights behind the scene. We almost didn't get a third pass, but we're definitely getting it. It'll be a little more challenging, but we're here in the middle of it now. Other things, been working with LCEC. Anyone who's on island now knows that they are in full swing of their project to replace all electrical lines and transformer boxes on the entire island. So they are mapping things out. They're boring, you know, down each street. It's going to be a much better situation, and they're going to be able to really give us better service when they're done. But they're going to definitely mess things up along the way. So as we're sort of cleaning up from the debris removal, as that's still happening, LCEC is going to be messing up the roads, blocking the roads. Many of you may lose power from time to time. You can go watch the town hall we did with LCEC last year on the website. And the biggest thing that it'll underscore is go into your LCEC account, make sure that you are set up for notifications, for text notifications, and you will get a text or a phone call, supposedly letting you know if there's going to be a power disruption to your home during this construction phase that they're doing and everything. Also, I would recommend if you have any water lines or gas lines at your house that somehow extend out towards the right of way, to maybe flag LCEC and let them know or mark those, because it is boring equipment. They are going to be, you know, going down a path. And then really the only other thing to touch on is there's been a rumor going around that the waste management on the island is changing, and that somehow the company Waste Management was getting a contract and going to be coming in and taking over household trash service on the island for the county. That is false. I spoke with the county in detail about that. There's nothing like that happening. Our waste management will still be private, presently through Team Davenport, but I know North Captiva Barge Company is also trying to work up a household trash program. And then that stuff can be barged for free by those companies over to the commercial marina, where they can hand it off to Waste Pro, who they will have to have a contract with. So nothing changing with waste management on the island. And then the only other thing, I regularly attend the Captiva Community Panel and Captiva's Civic Association and Greater Pine Island Civic Association meetings. Everyone may have heard Captiva, huge things happening over there where the county and South Seas Resort tried to do an end around and change the building code to raise heights and raise density, really specifically for South Seas. And every Captiva organization from SCCF to the panel, the association. Tons of homeowners associations over there have fought that. The county's having town halls with them, going through it, and the county commissioners are gonna make a decision in September on that. And then Pine Island, they're just still trying to recover and going through some thoughts about incorporation, but the general consensus on Pine Island is people don't want to incorporate over there. They want to be left alone. So that's all I got. Any questions for me on any of those?
Just as an additional comment about the Pine Island incorporation thing is that mostly they all just want to complain about what the county is doing to them. Like what's happening on South Captiva, but they don't want to talk about incorporation. So it's a bit funny.
That's true. They already envision the 30-story buildings on Pine Island that will never happen there, but all good. All right, on to the next communication committee with Mr. Bolmy.
Yeah, not anything too exciting to report, just continuing to maintain, send out the, blog post emails, notices of email of the meetings, things like that. We do have 139 member families now for 2023. Of course, we're getting near the end of 2023, but they're continue just as they have over time. Occasionally there'll be one or two that add on to renew. So kind of keeping up to date. So even though it's not really communication, I guess it's website maintenance. That's part of the, that thing too. So it's just not only email notices. And as Melissa said, she's doing a great job of keeping up with the calendar. And the calendar, is posted up to date, has links to the appropriate things that are needed. Give you guys information, even has a way for you to add it to your iPhone calendar or your Outlook calendar with a click of the button if you want to remind yourself of that. So I think that's all we have to report.
All right. Questions for David? Oh.
David, did Chief Cottrell contact you about his event on, I think it's the 6th or 8th of August?
He sent me, he sent me the
Okay.
flyer. He sent me the flyer, and then I asked him to give me a little bit of text behind it so I can send out an email and a post, you know what I mean? So we can give people more info.
For the membership, his intent is a lunch for island owners at the fire station, as well as a presentation of hurricane preparedness suggestions. And that he and his new assistant chief are currently working on updating the hurricane preparedness document that will be posted on the website.
Yeah, there historically have been pages for that, for various things, information. So they're just going through it to refresh it, because access to the island, how you get on and whatever, all those things change from time to time. So they're just reviewing that to make sure it's current. We'll get it cleaned up and posted again.
Do we know if that's going to be on Zoom or not? Or recorded?
Say that again.
Do we know if that's going to be on Zoom or not, or recorded?
Bill, you're muted.
It won't there. Took me a while to find the stupid button. The last I heard, it's all outside, so I don't believe it's going to be on Zoom.
Yeah, I plan to reach out to Jesse to see if we can set up an additional one via Zoom. Right now in August is probably one of the lowest attendance, people on the island and stuff like that. So I'll try to get him on a hurricane preparedness Zoom with the community. Cool. All right, next up is Island Development Committee. Steve had to jump off. He's going to try to jump back on, so we'll go back to him if he's able to. So that brings us to the Island Security Committee. Melissa, you want to lead that one?
Yeah, so we've been meeting, talking about some of the security issues on island, some of the calls that you all have made to the Lee County Sheriff's Office, and what to do about them. You know, how do we reduce what's happening? How do we prepare ourselves better and protect ourselves better? So we will be having more information to you all about that. In particular, let me find my notes. So many of the things that we hear on Facebook, if you're on social media, they're not calls into the police department. So we can't really address those. It's basically hearsay, so we don't know what's going on and we don't know exactly how to address them. So for the official ones, we are working with LCSO, and they're providing us with the data and how to address those actions. We're talking about illegal dumping. We're talking about some of the things that are more annoyances. And one of the big things that we're going to be doing is heading towards, thanks to John Flight, we're going to be organizing more of a volunteer organization. So Lee County already has a volunteer organization. And John, I don't know if you want to speak up about anything that you found about this. But we'll have more volunteers on island dealing with some of these more annoyances with it, you know, if it's a golf cart, you know, young people driving golf carts crazy, or if it's noise ordinance or some of these things that, so the police department, the sheriff's office can focus on more serious crimes. So most of what we have out here are annoyances, and they're super annoying, and we want to take care of them. So we're going to address those with possibly more of a volunteer organization to help out with that.
Melissa, if you want, I'll dive in. It doesn't look like John's able to unmute, but Sheriff's Department has a civilian support unit. So it's a group of volunteers who go through a pretty intensive training process with the Sheriff's Department. They're given white official uniforms. They dispatch radios. They're you know, direct into dispatch and the emergency center. And they've already come out to the island several times and done some patrols. They're able to use the sheriff's ATV when they're here. Fire department is allowing them to come up and, you know, use, you know, their office and stuff like that when they're there. And so what that group is now doing, the gentleman who leads the civilian support unit, is a few more visits. They'll sort of have their arms around what we're doing. And then the goal is that they will tailor a civilian support unit training program for anyone on North Captiva who would like to apply to become one of those people. And so we could, you know, essentially have some people on the island who get that training, they get the uniform, they get the radio. You can deal with some things. You know, you're not going to be able to go down and chase people down and arrest them. You would communicate with the sheriff's office. You can go, you know, knock on a door and go, hey, there is a noise ordinance, and you're over the noise ordinance there. And they could do some things like that. But from our perspective, it's having just some of that identification, someone that is visible to deter, you know, some of the, you know, annoying behavior that annoys many people on the island, whether it's, you know, reckless driving, you know, noise, stuff like that. So, anything else on our work?
Also, I included in the chat, if you want to look at the non-emergency numbers. So if somebody's being loud, you're seeing some things that you probably, you know, don't agree with, there's a non-emergency number to call.
So we'll be working with the Sheriff's Department. We've got a nice committee that includes, board members and general members. And we're working towards that goal that before spring break this next year, that perhaps we've got civilian support unit people on our island. Everything to help out.
Yeah, another thing, I think on board meetings, but not sure on the general meeting, there was some good statistics that Lieutenant Sawicki provided about the number of times they've been on island. And I can't remember. It's like, it was a very shocking number to me. Do you guys happen to remember what that number is in case there are people on the call that may not have heard that number?
It was in the 400s. It was like 470 times over.
I think it's close.
Go ahead.
I think the number is close, is approaching 300 times since January, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah, since January, they had 464 calls. 2 were grand theft, 4 were disturbance, but no crime. 360 were area checks, 140 were 911 hangups. And according to them, we have the lowest crime rates in the county, in Lee County.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's not surprising to anybody. I think but the number of times, I think the 360 are the ones they're just coming to be on island and have a drive around, right? So that's a lot of activity, more than I thought, because not every time do I see them. I see them quite frequently, but not like that. So it's good to know.
And that's part of what our committee wants to do. So, we have all these calls that are quote unquote annoyances, but they're super annoying. And, we shouldn't have to live like this. So a lot of people are calling for a reason. It's not no reason that they're calling. So we want to address some of these things and kind of prevent them. So how can we do that? So we're going to work with homeowners who rent, and if you don't rent and you're just on the island and annoyed, what can you do about it? So
yeah,
hopefully we can make some progress there.
Yeah, so there's a question in the chat. At what stage are we entitled to or justifiable to station a full-time officer on the island? Sawicki and Lusk would tell you that it's not needed. Very doubtful that the county would pay for that. That'd be a very large expense. And the problem is, we have the imbalance of social media complaints versus the reality of calls to the sheriff's department. So if there's real crime happening and people are not calling those crimes into the sheriff's department, then you're doing yourself a disservice and certainly moving us away from the possibility of having someone full time. But the current statistics show that everything is pretty groovy here. So we do know this, that there are things like petty theft and some trespassing and stuff like that, and people just don't call the sheriff's department and they don't report it. And so those aren't included in these statistics. So the way that the county would look at it and look at increased presence, whether it's increased area checks or a full-time deputy, on island, right, in 3 shifts, 24/7 or whatever, would be that statistically we move up from being the lowest crime area in the county to suddenly we're not. So short term, I think there's no chance we're getting a full-time presence on the island. It's going to be
I agree. No chance for that. And one thing that's, John Flight is working on with the civilian support unit with Lee County, those are volunteers. And so what we're going to be doing is training people as volunteers to come out, or actually people who are here. You have to be qualified for this and go through some training. But this is something that we'll be bringing up in the next few months of, if you're on island, a lot of the time and you are interested in being one of these volunteers, then you have to go through a background check and all these certain things and go through some training. And then you can be a volunteer and you'll be, you'll have a uniform and you'll be able to take care of some of these issues that, can help the sheriff's office focus on more serious crimes, but then we can still take care of what these things are that are annoying us and bothering us and making us, less than desirable at this
Yeah,
point.
and I think, adding to that, we've had people call out like, hey, should we hire a private security company and all like that? All that's super expensive, right? You can hire off-duty sheriff's deputies. They're like, I think he said $85 an hour or something like that. It's crazy money, right? It'd be very expensive. So the goal is to work with the sheriff's department, figure out a program for our island with the civilian support unit, have, I don't know, 4, 8, 12, whatever people on the island who are willing to be volunteers. And then we would have our own volunteer for, sort of like a crime watch, but we're actually official with the sheriff's department. We're part of the sheriff's department program. Bill? Can't figure it out? Sign language, chat? Give me 5 seconds to figure it out and then we're moving on. Yeah, all right. Any questions for Melissa and the Island Security Committee? No? All right. We will move on to the road signs project with Paula.
All right, so we have everything in process to go forward. We are looking to install these hopefully during homeowners week in October. We're going to be sending out a sign up to help us. We're looking on the 19th and 20th to get this done. So we'll send those out at that time. I'm going to call 611, I believe it is, like 2 weeks before to see if they can come out and just make sure all of the old road signs are okay to be drilling down 3 feet to make sure we're not hitting any of the new electrical that just got put in. But other than that, everything's still a go for October.
Nice. And Paula, just real quick, I believe it is, because I was on email today about some stuff. It is 811.
811.
811 you call to see where any underground utilities might be.
Mistake, yeah. So I will be calling them in September to see if we can get them out there. I'm just waiting to see when Lee County is going to be, or I'm sorry, LCEC will be done with this project. They're thinking they're going to be done before that, but not sure.
That'd be great. Any questions for Paula and the road signs? And just in case anyone's not really caught up, we're looking to replace all the road signs, all the road markers on the island, and put in a couple that don't exist. They'll be newer and sturdier and more readable for the fire district. All right, no more questions there. All right, beach signs and beach access project, Paula and Bonnie.
All right, so the same thing, we're looking at putting these up in October. Also, we're looking at putting the larger signs that has an example, it's a rough example, on the Upper Captiva Civic Association website. There is an example of what we're looking at for information on the large signs. The large signs we're looking at putting up on Sunset Beach, the entrance to the nature preserve, Dolphin Beach, the airport beach, and then the Island Girl Charters on Pineland side, and then the Island Club North Captiva in St. James also. So that's where majority of guests coming on the island will see that information and have time to read it before they come here to enjoy themselves, to North Captiva to enjoy themselves. And then we're looking at doing smaller signs that have information on it, and it's going to be a post with rope around it, and then the rope going across to the other post with rope around it to block off golf carts going on to the beach access. And the one post will be larger, where we put a 32 by 40 inch sign with information like the sea turtles, no parking, information on there. And those are,
No driving on the beach, right?
yeah, no driving on the beach and no fires or, and dogs on leash will be the main information for those. And that is going to be on Oropezos Lane, Hidden Lane, Hodgepodge Lane, Escondido, and then on the state entrance, public entrance off of Gulf Lane. Between I'm going to say that wrong, Schooner and Farley Parkway.
Awesome. All right, any questions on that project that we're working on?
And that's, we're gonna have. We're hoping to send out for donations and sponsors for that short in the next week or two, where we'll have sponsors where you can have your company or whatever logo you would like on the sign. If you donate us, I believe we're looking at 500 for the large signs and 250 for the smaller signs. We'll have 2 sponsors per large sign and 1 sponsor for small signs, is what we're looking at, and we'll be sending that out. We already have, I think, 5 people interested in sponsoring. So that will be coming out shortly.
Great. All right, if no other questions on that, then we go to Mr. Fry if he has audio in the golf cart registry projects.
Yeah, sorry, brain freeze and operator error. But on golf cart registry, we're still seeing some limited ads. I watch the complaints in the comments in the homeowners group on Facebook, and mostly I don't know if it's because we're having a slow summer rental season with a lot of the houses still not back on the market, but the typical complaints that we normally comments that we see every week with renters seems to be down a good bit. Again, the whole idea for the golf cart registry is even if you don't want to put a picture on, is putting who your house manager is or direct email, cell phone text information for you. David has created the site in such a way that scrapers, bots can't get to that information without multi-steps in the screens. So we think that's that personal information, that owner information is protected. Anyone that wants additional information, send me an email and I'll be glad to walk you through the capabilities of the website.
Last entry was May 12th.
Yeah, it usually is when I start seeing comments again on the homeowners group. I'll post something as a reminder, and that generates 3 or 4 or 5 new registrations. Mainly, it appears that things are calmer than usual. But again, I think that's because of post-Ian low renter population. Could be wrong.
Cool. Any questions for Mr. Fry and Mr. Bowley on the golf cart registry? All right, does not look like Mr. Huber made it back on. I'll just touch on one thing on the Island Development Committee. I know a lot of people want to know what restaurant's going to go back where Mainstay was. Safe Harbor Marinas is being very tight-lipped about that. There have been several rumors. I won't even say what they are because there have been so many, who knows. They'll let us know when they know. I do know that there is a new restaurant coming, just not sure when they're going to have renovations done and have that open and everything. So that's kind of the only new thing that I know, hopefully coming imminently. Other than that, move to town halls. I'm gonna reach out to Jesse and try and get, go ahead and get a town hall with him for hurricane preparedness, since he's doing the in-person one on August 6th. And so we'll try to get that set up. Maybe we can get that going for end of August. As it'll be timely, because we know our September and October, we will probably all be a little on edge and everything this year. Other than that, that's all I got. Any other business? Nope, going once, going twice.
Can I ask one question, Swin?
Bet.
So what I'm struggling with these beach signs is I don't have a direct answer if anybody online knows, but we're looking at what that beach is called on the Gulf side of the airstrip. Is that Airport Beach? Is that West End Beach? Does anybody know what the official name? Otherwise, I'm going to call it Airport Beach.
You get to call it whatever you want. There's no official name as far as I know. It's just at the end of North Airport Road, West End.
And then I also had a question from somebody regarding if we have the North Airstrip Drive, why is the other side not South Airstrip Drive instead of Sea Air? And I'm like, that's a good question. I'm not sure on that.
I don't even know who named the roads way
Yeah.
back.
I believe that everything south of the airstrip was named by Phil Kinsey, the original Barnacle Phil,
Mhm.
when he created the subdivision. That would be in the 80s.
Okay.
So I call it I
Six-
call it East
64.
Sea Air because the real Sea Air, the regular Sea Air where their house is the one that's kind of offset. So when we typically talk about it at the fire meetings, it's always been called East Sea Air.
So do you want that street sign to say East Sea Air?
I will defer to what Jesse wants.
Okay. So I should reach out to Jesse.
Yes, ma'am, because that's not in my lane.
Yeah, I think that's how it comes up on the 911 app for first responders. I think that's probably what he'll tell you, but you need to check with him for sure.
Right.
Oh. East Sea Air. Okay.
I know that's what we call it when we talk about road work.
Okay.
Good to know. All right, anything else? Any other business? Nope. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion
Move we
to
adjourn.
Do we have
I'll
a second?
second.
All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.